maten og djurens vegne. Welcome, Ed Winters.
Thank you.
I read that you said somewhere that vegans might have an optics problem.
Right.
What do you mean by that?
Well, I think that one of the biggest hurdles to people thinking more favorably of veganism is how people think towards us. I think often what happens is people shoot the messenger because it's easier to do that than maybe argue against the message of veganism. And so I sometimes think that when people think of vegans, the first thing they do is sort of roll their eyes and think, oh, these people again, they're going to force their views down my throat and tell me I'm an evil person because I'm not vegan. And I just think that it's really important for us as vegans to hopefully present our arguments in a logical, rational way, but also come across as nuanced, reasonable people. And I think doing that can go a long way in convincing people of the merits of what it is that we try to represent.
So, but do you think that as some of us eat meat here, do you think that we need some kind of denial just to be able to not look at these? I mean, is denial the premise for eating meat?
I think it's willful ignorance, and denial is part of that. I think it's also the case that people don't know. I mean, for example, almost 100% of pigs in Sweden are killed in gas chambers, where they're forced into a chamber that's filled with carbon dioxide that causes them to hyperventilate, to have the feeling of suffocation. Do people know that? That's the problem. Because if you do know that, you've then got to come to the conclusion that either that's ethical to force animals into gas chambers or it's not. And if it's not ethical, then you have to change.
But first of all, Peter, is this the right description of Swedish meat production?
Well, firstly, in Sweden, we, in opposite to a lot of other European countries, we have pretty high animal welfare. Of course, I don't think we will agree on that, because in the end, the animal will be killed and will be food. But on their way there, for me and for the government, it's of course important that we have as good journey as possible.
But do you accept that those animals end up in gas chambers, which does cause them unnecessary suffering? You talk about the journey, but what about when they're there?
That's one of the methods. It's not the method in every slaughterhouse.
So for almost every pig in Sweden it is.
Yes, and we are actually looking into that, and we have giving the authorities the possibility to change this as well.
Do you think it's unethical?
Well, that's actually a bigger question. I eat meat, and of course you can always end up in the conclusion that killing an animal for the purpose to eat it is unethical. But that's the way it is. If we are going to eat them, yes, we will have to kill them.
But of course, we need. The question was, do you think that gas chambers are unethical?
I want slaughterhouses to have the best, most effective.
That's not the question. Do you think that gas chambers are unethical?
But I think it was a yes or no question after all.
Yeah, and I'm a politician, so please let me be that. We are looking into it.
What do you think?
I'm not the expert.
But what do you pay for it through your everyday choices?
Yeah,
but
then I would ask him, because he's the chef here. He buys a lot of meat.
But then also Peter's in government.
Yeah,
and he's the one who makes these decisions.
That's why you can't get a yes or no.
But does that not make a mockery of the whole system, that politicians who are representing these industries can't answer simple questions? If you can't even say yes or no, how can we trust you to legislate effectively?
The main purpose for me is that we do it as effectively as we can. And we are actually looking into just this issue.
But just for the record, you don't want to answer his question, right?
I don't think it's my role to say yes or no before, because I have...
But privately, privately, not in your role. But.
Well, yeah, that's easy to say. I'm never private.
But you're the Minister of Agriculture.
Yes.
Like, people turn to you. So you've sat here tonight and you've made claims about the meat industry, claims that Swedish farming is ethical, that you like meat and the meat is an okay product to eat and you don't find it immoral. But I'm asking you a very specific question, and because you don't want to answer it, all of a sudden you can't speak about your own personal opinion. But you've done that all throughout this show so far.
But can I say something? I think it's so good that guys like you help the industry to become better, because I'm not an expert of gassing the pigs. I don't know. I heard from Helena that they are feeling a lot of things during the gas process, and I think, of course, we shall not do that. So it's so good that you are here to help us improve.
Will you stop serving it? Will you stop serving pig meat then?
I actually don't serve that much pigs.
But you do serve pigs, so will you stop?
Absolutely. No, I will not.
So it's wrong, we should improve, you're grateful I'm here, but you're not going to do anything about it?
Yeah, we are, of course we are going to do something about it.
So you're going to stop serving pig meat?
Can I ask you?
You know, I cannot win this.
It's not about winning, it's about consistency. And I think if we sit here and we acknowledge there are problems and we acknowledge there are things that need to change, the least we can do is then own up to our own responsibility in that change. Yeah. And if you sit here and you say, look, you're not happy with it, you weren't aware of it, you've maybe learned some things, the question then becomes, well, what do you do with that new information?
Is there a better way to kill the pigs? And which way is that?
Well, it would be not killing them, not farming them.
That's okay, but if you have to kill them, what's the best way?
But we don't have to kill them.
But if you have to,
if you want to kill a pig, but if you want, let's be clear here.
If
some people want to eat meat.
Some people want.
So how should they kill the pig?
Well, they shouldn't kill the pig.
Exactly, but if they really want to kill that pig,
they shouldn't kill the pig. I mean, this is the thing. We've got to get, you keep using the word want, and that's the most fundamental word in all of that. Want. We want to do these things to animals. We don't have to. We don't need to. We want to. And I think it's quite scary when we talk about causing so much suffering, so much harm, so much pain, so much fear for a want, for a meal. A 15-minute meal, a taste bud sensation, a sensory pleasure moment.
Alexandra, are you back at vegetarianism now?
Yeah, I kind of want to. It feels so bad that I'm going to the store and buy some ham, just like you're saying, for 15 minutes of fun or whatever. Yeah, I'm a hypocrite.
I think that it's fair to say, though, that the trend is not in your direction now. People are eating more meat, and here in Sweden, obviously, young people are also tend to eat more meat.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Well, I think there has been a little bit of pushback in more recent years. I think that ties into sort of a wider pushback against a lot of maybe quote-unquote progressive, woke things, you know, things that kind of go against maybe some of the more populist right-wing governments that are finding themselves in Europe and elsewhere.
But do you think that a person who's a vegetarian is living an ethical life?
No, I mean, I advocate for veganism because I think dairy and eggs are just as immoral as meat.
It's just as bad.
As bad, yeah. It's the same thing. It's exploitation of animals. There's slaughterhouses at the end of their lives, and within that, there are a number of cruel practices. Dairy cows forcibly impregnated, their babies taken away from them almost immediately after they've been born. Mother cows calling out for their offspring that have been taken from them so that we can drink their milk, the milk from a different species that's meant for their offspring. But we take their offspring away so that we can breastfeed from their mother instead. It's absurd, but it's also just deeply wrong, and that's why veganism is the ethical conclusion, not just vegetarianism.
I mean, the tribes in Africa that lives with the cows, you don't and a part of them living with the cows is that during the cow's lifetime they give them the family milk. Yeah. And in the end, when it doesn't give them any more milk, they kill it and eat it because they need it. They need the energy, because otherwise, probably they don't have food on the table. What do you think about that?
Well, the word that you used then was need it, and that sort of goes against what I was saying earlier. Want it. There's a difference between a need and a want. There are undeniably people in this world who can't be vegan, who rely on animal protein for survival. I'm not here to argue against those people. I'm here to make the case that those of us who can should feel morally compelled to do so.
Could this be like it's a part of a culture war?
Yeah, maybe. And
like a statement.
Like you began with, a lot of people I think, have felt that from the vegan side, it has been a lot of demanding, and actually I feel it a little bit like that here, even if you started the way you did, that you are right and 95% of the Swedish people are wrong who is eating meat. And maybe that's a reaction to something like that, because food is very political. In Sweden, we have for decades have political influences who has driven like the school lunches in Sweden to be more vegetarian. It started with a day per month maybe. Now it's 1, 2, 3 days every week. And of course...
And this was not your idea.
That was not my idea. And maybe you have pushed it a little bit too much. And then you get a reaction.
Is this the optics problem?
Well, I think, to be fair, I don't think that 95% of people in Sweden are wrong in the sense of that they're bad people. And that's what I think is really important to sort of say about this. Someone isn't a bad person because they eat animal products. You know, animal products are marketed to us all the time, every single day. We were raised eating animal products. It's legally allowed for us to eat animal products. Yep. So I'm not here to argue and try and position myself as being the good person. Everyone else is the bad person. That's not the point. But it's also really important that we do come to terms with the truth and reality of this, because then we can make better decisions. And just the point on the school meals. Earlier you were talking about going to experts, going to advisors. But the Swedish Food Agency advocates for people to eat fewer animal products. They're part of the school meals that you're against. And so on the one hand, you were saying earlier about going forward with evidence and with advice, but on the other hand, you're rejecting the evidence and you're rejecting the nutrition guidelines that your own food and nutrition authorities in this country are advocating for.
Now you are putting words in my mouth. I haven't said that. I wanted a broader perspective when we outlined these guidelines, and that's a difference. But my point here is that political views has changed the way we are serving meals in school. That's not driven only by experts saying this or that. It's driven by a political view.
Do you agree with that? That it has become politicized?
Well, I think it's only become politicized if you think that science is politicized.
If we take the Nordic guidelines, we are doing this in a Nordic perspective. The task that scientists were given by government. In that time, it was almost green governments. So you don't
believe
Nordic country.
You don't believe in that science?
Absolutely, I do.
Because
I believe from the mission they got from the government.
Yeah, but you say that the mission was politicized, right?
Yes, of course.
The mission itself.
But that would be fine if it was only in Nordic countries. But we're seeing the same in the UK. We're seeing the same in Canada.
We have the guidelines. And we have the knowledge. But from my political perspective, all I'm saying when it comes to school meals, I want the children to be able to choose.
And that's the thing, you know, sometimes we think about going vegan and we think that it means giving up on some of our, favourite foods, and it means that we won't enjoy food. But that's not the case. There are plenty of delicious plant-based foods, and it's actually an opportunity to discover new flavours, try different ingredients, and expand your palate.
I love vegan food also. Yeah, it's good. But I have to have a little of the romantic side also. I think there is nothing better to eat than a piece of grilled steak.
Is sensory pleasure, so taste enjoyment, does that morally justify what we do to animals?
And here we go again. Okay, but thank you so much. Ed Winters, ladies and gentlemen.